All right. Hello, all you sports fans out there in podcast land, and welcome once again to another edition of Babbling Brooks, your new favorite podcast, where I, your host Brooks, try to bring you some of today's sports news with just a little twist on my point of view. Hope everyone had an awesome weekend and a magnificent Monday. Here today to talk about my Carolina Panthers. Tune in tomorrow. We'll have a Braves episode ahead of their series against the Cubs. I was going to go ahead and talk about the Braves and the Panthers, but just felt like that would be too much. And the Braves aren't playing tonight, which allowed me to really take my time with this. Actually got started on laundry. Kind of disappointed. I wanted to go see Conway the Machine tonight, but I was just tired. Didn't feel like spending money or leaving the house, and I really needed to do laundry so I could, have clean clothes at work tomorrow and not smell like shit while I'm washing dishes. Either way, like I said, we're here tonight to talk about the Carolina Panthers and their Week 3 loss to the Seattle Seahawks. Back-to-back games where I get to watch at least half of the game due to the primetime game last week that we lost at home to New Orleans. And this game here, which I thought the Panthers were going to win this game. We had a really good chance. I was very encouraged. When I got off of work at 5 and started walking home, the Panthers had a 1-point lead, y'all. They were up 13-12 at halftime. The announcers were joking about what a boring game had been. It was, no touchdowns for the Seahawks. Just 4 field goals. The Panthers had 2 field goals and a touchdown. Touchdown, a 47-yard pass to DJ Chark, which was one of the real key differences in this game with Andy Dalton as the quarterback as Bryce Young out 1 to 2 weeks with an ankle injury. So he could potentially come back this week against the Minnesota Vikings on the road. But I would expect it to be Andy Dalton again. I feel like I don't think he's going to replace Bryce Young. Especially when we're 0-3, getting farther and farther away from the playoffs. And you trade all that, DJ Moore, future first-round picks. You trade all that to move up, to take a quarterback. He needs to be starting, kind of just take your lumps. He's got to learn one way or the other. And side note, I don't feel like it's all Bryce Young's fault. I feel like the coaching staff and the play calling has, I really have talked a lot how much I love this coaching staff that they put together. But so far, the play calling, I don't like overall. It got better this week with more downfield throws, which just calls into question, why aren't you calling those for Bryce? Do you not feel he's capable? Or maybe it's this offensive line. They're terrible right now. Not terrible. I don't want to say a mean thing. I'm trying to be positive. There's a lot of room for growth on this offensive line. In fairness, is missing a couple starters. But Brady Christensen now out for the season. Austin Corbett still working his way back. So it's not been pretty. But we'll talk more about that. Let's talk about some of the positive stuff. Because damn it, man, this defense, they did their damnedest. But it just felt like same old Panthers, new year, whatever, same, new season, same Panthers, something along those lines of just, going back most of the time that this team has been a franchise, the history of the team, this is unofficial, but it really feels like this has happened a lot. Every iteration I have watched of the Panthers seems like there's been those games where your defense is putting up a fight. It's a team that has historically pretty much always had a defensive identity. Sam Mills, Julius Peppers, on down to Josh Norman, Thieves Alley on the way to that Super Bowl loss in 2015. Of course, Shaq Thompson out for at least 4 weeks. Luke Kuechly. Thomas Davis. A lot of super talented guys. But it just seems like the defense just so much time, putting up a fight, and then eventually the other team just starts to break through on them because they get tired. They get hurt. Shit seems to just happen that way for this team. And a lot of that is, of course, we've had all defensive coaches until Frank Reich. We got an offensive coach, until this game. This game, it kind of clicked, at least passing-wise, but the rushing game just totally disappeared. And it's not been incredible. It's been okay. We put up over 100 yards at least the first two games. And this game, the Panthers could only rush for 44. So it just felt like the defense did what they could, already missing big guys, but then on top of that, in this game, Xavier Woods left with an injury. Frankie Louvu has been one of the most important players on this defense going back to the second half of last year, especially even a little bit the year before. Seems like he just keeps getting better, and he left this game with an injury. C.J. Henderson, we're already so thin at cornerback with J.C. Horn out for the season, and then another injury. No updates on how that will affect us going forward. The only injury update that Frank Reich had this morning was about Jonathan Mingo and that he is in the concussion protocol. So that sucks for the rookie. But not affecting us so much right away. Because we do have some other guys to throw the ball to. But the defensive stuff, really hoping to get some good news and hopefully get these guys back for the next game. But the defense looked good. Especially if you don't count the fourth quarter, and even some parts of the fourth quarter. But the third and the fourth quarter, it was like the defense just kind of got tired of propping the team up all the way. And we only lost by 10. It could have been worse. It definitely could have been worse. At least one thing I can say about this team, and I'm sorry, Zach, if you're listening, but at least we didn't give up 70 points. Coach Sean Payton. Was it? I bet whatever that coach's name is. I was said Freddie Kitchens when I was talking to somebody. I'm like, wait, that was somebody else. But yeah, they're like, yeah, it's not so easy, is it, Sean? But either way, at least I hate to celebrate someone's failures, but if I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be the Saints former coach Sean Payton, who talking trash on his way into this job, and he ain't. I can't say much, but I feel like the Panthers are a better 0-3 team than the Bears and the Broncos. We don't have quite that turmoil that we know of. There could be some shit boiling behind the scenes, but I doubt it. I do believe, we heard it a lot with Matt Rule, so it does get annoying, but it does feel like the team is close. It's just been a mess, And this game, it's like, so let's go more into it. We did win the first half, 13-12. Just leaving points on the board, though. It's great to go into halftime with a lead, but it just felt like we should have been able to capitalize more on the defense, not allowing Geno Smith and company to score a touchdown. 4 field goals was it. Eddie Pinheiro was looking good, had a 47-yard, a 44, did miss the 55-yarder, ending a really good streak that he had going. And it felt like the Panthers missed the biggest missed opportunity of the first half was not scoring a touchdown off the Deion Jones interception. Deion Jones, linebacker for the Falcons in the past, was signed in the offseason, then cut, signed back to the practice squad, and with all the injury to Shaq Thompson, among other things, he got elevated from the practice squad just a few days ago. And did a really good job of reading Geno Smith's eyes, following the ball, and getting his first interception of the year and the first interception that Geno Smith has thrown this year. So good job on that one, Deion Jones. But then after that, Panthers had the ball on the 28-yard line. Seems like he got a pretty good chance there. But then one story of the game with this team was the false starts. False start to immediately open the drive. End up settling for a field goal really quick, which field goal's nice. But it feels always to me feels like a missed opportunity when the Panthers don't score a touchdown after an interception. Or just for any team, it just bothers me more when it's my team that I root for. But just overall, it just feels like it takes a little something out. Because 3 points is better than the other team scoring. It's better than nothing. But what's even better and what really can create momentum, especially on the road in a hostile environment, if the Panthers had been able to put it right in the end zone, touchdown. Only 28 yards. Should be able to do that. And it would have been back-to-back touchdowns because this was coming pretty much right off the big pass to DJ Chark that led to the Panthers being up. That gave them their second lead of the game at 10-9, first team to double digits. But then they had the field goal. But then at 40, they allow the Seahawks to go down, get another field goal, and from there on, like it was a different game. The Panthers were up 13-9. And then there's like a 28. They're doubled up from that point, 28-14. Like they won the first half 13-12, lost the second half 14-25. Because what happened? Defense got tired. It got harder to limit the Seahawks, especially when the crowd gets loud behind you. And instead of just 4 field goals, no touchdowns, you get the same amount of scores. They scored 4 times in each half. The difference is, though, in the second half, 2 of them scores were touchdowns. And they even added a 2-point conversion to make it pretty much impossible to come back because that was with 4 minutes left. So Panthers would have to score 3 times and, 2 touchdowns and, at both, at least getting extra points each time and then getting a field goal that would tie it. And if you got 2-point conversions, you get the win. But it's tough to do that in 4 minutes, especially the way this offense was playing at that point. Because we still, despite all the mistakes we were making, it felt like we were still in there. But I feel like that was really our first major missed opportunity. Obviously, you could say not scoring on that 11-play drive led to a field goal early in the game. Obviously, that's one. But I think, other than the false starts, and that's not really a missed opportunity, that's just some bonehead shit. But hey, I can't play for anything, so what am I even talking about? But yeah, just really felt like, if the Panthers could have done back-to-back touchdowns, it would have totally taken the crowd out of it. These are, hardcore football fans here. But, it would have at least took some of the wind out of themselves. And maybe in the second half, the crowd ain't quite as quiet. Because they, lost interest a little bit there. But, probably would not say they totally would have. But, you can't discount what a big difference I feel like that would have made, like, on the whole vibe. Because instead of 13-9, 17-9. It doesn't sound like a big difference. It's not just about the points. The points obviously matter. But just the momentum that would have created going into halftime, because there was only like 2 minutes left. Maybe the defense feels a little more propped up, and they were able to stop, Seattle getting that field goal, because it wasn't a long drive, really. Let me look at it again. Yeah, they had, we let them go, 54 yards. And then we still had the ball again. Just, it was only 44 seconds. We somehow, 25 plays, we could only get, 27 yards. And another, 4th and 9. This, couldn't get it done. Maybe we should have gone for it. Then it was, didn't want to give them another score. But either way, just missed opportunities. And then allowing them to score just like so many times in a row, including that field goal. Because we didn't score in the third quarter at all. So right there, this 13 straight points. And you go from having, 13-9 lead, feel like pretty good. You're like, hey, maybe we can stop them from scoring. And nope. Especially because we're like, we're getting the ball to start the second half. Of course, that was a 3-and-out. Just like we did to them to start the game. And, even though we're on the road, Seattle's a tough place, it just felt like this team should have won this game. It just does, man. But the Panthers weren't done. They did bounce back. Miles Sanders, touchdown run to bring it back within 2 points at the very beginning of the fourth quarter. And and one of those times we really needed to stop. Defense couldn't do it. And it didn't help that they did have, I think that was when they had that was the earlier one where they called the penalty on Deion Jones. And I can understand you don't slam a guy down after the whistle, but damn, they might not have been able to hear the whistle. And dude was still trying to run. He's like, man, he ain't going to stop. I'll make him stop. And that's a legal hit if the play's still going, I believe. But help lead to a touchdown. Maybe we could have got a field goal there. But I can't really blame that on him, especially with the interception he had. It feels like most of the blame lays with the offense in this one. Because he had the defense, could have stepped up. Man, they were trying. It's tough to overcome all those injuries. It just is. I mean, Brian Burns had a sack, 3 tackles for loss. Yetter Gross-Matos had a sack, tackle for loss. Camus Grouser-Hill led the team in tackles. He had 7 solo, doing a good job trying to step up. Team is really missing Shaq Thompson. But, it's not enough. And all the sacks pretty much coming in the first half. It's like strong start, but it just seems like the team gets tired of propping them up. And if we could have, been able to get a stop there, we brought the game within 2. It feels like we could have turned it around there. But not only that, we're just allowing the back-to-back touchdowns. And the last one with 4 minutes left, I can understand more. I can see the team just being, the defense just being exhausted. Just try to help the offense out. The offense just kept blowing it. But it was better. I'll give him that, which I still think it was weird the way he explains it. Well, Andy Dalton asked for some stuff. I'm like, the quarterback has to ask for you to throw the ball down the field? That seems sketchy. What the hell are you talking about, Frank? But it's tough when you throw the ball 58 times, like Frank Reich said. You're not usually going to win a lot in Seattle. 34-58. So a lot of yards, 361, because they actually were throwing it down the field. Thielen, 145. DJ Chark, 86. Like I said, just throwing down the field leads to more yards. But there, definitely a couple times it didn't seem like they were on the same page at key times. But we've talked about it before, but now we're going to go into it. The 13 penalties, most of them false starts, including at one point, I wrote down back-to-back, and then I looked closer at the play-to-play. I'm like, that's right, it was back-to-back-to-back false starts. The team was only down 9. There was 8 minutes left. There's time to score twice. But when you have a 3rd and 4, and all of a sudden that 3rd and 4, without any, actual plays happening, is a 4th and 19. And then you got to punt it because that's too long. You don't want to just give them away yet. You still feel like you have a chance. And then the defense, tired as they were, they followed that up with a 3 and out, forced a punt. But then the defense, another opportunity missed. It's 4th and 2 after an Ian Thomas 8-yard catch on 3rd down. So 4th and 2 is pretty damn manageable. But then, next thing you know, that 4th and 2, which Andy Dalton very well, he probably could have run for that. Showing they're not afraid to have Andy Dalton do that. I mean, they put him in there for Bryce Young. When Bryce Young was even healthy, they did that. So that 4th and 2 turns into a 4th and 7, which turns into a sack, which turned into a pretty easy touchdown. Short field. And like I said, they were tired by that point, the defense. Getting some plays. Getting a 3 and out even when you're looking like it's done. But, when you have 4 plays for -5 yards. And then the other team only needs 5 plays, 27 yards. You better believe that this Seattle team's going to get a touchdown at home when they only got to go 27 yards. Especially when, like I said, by that point, the defense should have got a stop. But I can understand why they didn't. They were exhausted. They were hurt. And they're not going to, use that as an excuse. But I will. I mean, it's you can only, carry the team for so long. And that is just the story of the Panthers historically. That the defense carries them until they don't. And the offense just isn't good enough. I mean, just 4 false starts there on 2 drives in the 4th quarter. That's why we lost. Because you look at that. You don't give them that easy touchdown. Maybe we don't punt. If we could have scored even a field goal. Even a field goal. 29-23. You're there. Especially when you force another punt. And then, maybe even another field goal. You're still within 3 with with like a minute left. That's, way better than 17. Because just like that, being within 9, they score 16 points. They 8 more points. Puts it out of reach, 37-20. It's just weird the difference in that and the way it works. And we were able to score, but it felt more like a garbage time touchdown because it was just so little time was left. It was 4 minutes left, though, and you got to score 3, or not 3 times yet. Yeah, you had to score 3 times. We got 1, but by the end of that, there was only a minute left. Took too much time, so it's a minute 40. And what are you gonna do? In a minute 40, you're gonna score 2 more times. And we, of course, we did try onside kick just like last week. Didn't work. We need to practice that more. Maybe it's not that. It's not like it works that often. It doesn't work more often than not historically for whatever team tries it. But it feels like we need to do that because we're trying it every game and just losing. 0-3, man. Not a pretty start, Maybe I got a little, too happy about, got my hopes up. I tend to do that with my teams, talk myself into us being better than we are. But I still feel like, obviously you are what your record says you are. But I don't feel like this team, same with the Vikings, who we play next week. Doesn't feel like either one of those teams should be 0-3. The Browns and the Broncos kind of makes a little more sense. Especially the way they're playing, but at least we've been in these games. We're putting up a fight. It's just not enough, and just too many boneheaded mistakes. You just can't give them that many free yards, especially 3 plays in a row. It's back to back to back, just free shit. It's already a tough situation, a tough environment. You can't give them anything. And yeah, you would have liked to see another big defensive play. That has been another weakness for this team historically. Other than when Thieves Alley was going off there for a couple of years. But last couple of years, we really struggled with getting turnovers. And I know it's something they're working on. We got 1. That was a big one. But it really felt like the defense, instead of a stop, one of those stops needed to be a turnover. Either force a fumble with, Geno Smith, not going to drop the ball a lot, but still, make somebody drop the ball. Get an interception. We'll see, though, man. You don't really hate that we're playing the Vikings, but it is a road game. Home game for, Adam Thielen, who just had a pretty damn big game in Seattle. He's from Minnesota. Before this season, he had played his entire career as a member of the Minnesota Vikings. So I would see a big game, no matter who the quarterback is, especially maybe Andy Dalton, because apparently they don't trust Bryce to throw the ball down the field. Apparently. But, we got to check. Somebody's got to win that game. Unless we tie, which will probably be what happens. We'll be 0-3-1, both of us. But I don't know, man. It's tough. I would have thought the Vikings would have played better than they have, but they haven't. But they got Kirk Cousins. Despite his turnovers, still can throw. He can sling the damn ball. Mattinson had another fumble. They're saying Cam Akers might get worked in. But we'll talk more about that matchup more like the end of the week on Football Friday. But for now, we'll leave it at that. It's a rough start to the season. At least the other 2 division teams lost yesterday. And hopefully the Bucs will lose today. Because, that at least we're not getting farther away. Right now, that game is tied at 3 on ABC. The other game tonight, Rams and Bengals. Only 2 games left this week, of course. Joe Burrow, despite the injured calf, not a baby cow, but his leg muscle. So whenever they're saying, I just wanted to get a picture of Joe Burrow nursing, and not milk-wise, but just caring for an injured. That would be funny too, I guess. Joe Burrow with a baby cow, a calf. An injured calf at his breast. Somehow getting milk out of the breast of Joe Burrow. And that's how you can tell I smoked weed after working before this podcast, because that don't make no damn sense. But hey, man, we're talking about the Panthers. disappointing. Hopefully, we'll get some good news. Hopefully, on some injury stuff. I feel like if we could have been, if we could have had Frankie Louvu in this game that second half, we might have been able. Maybe he could have been that X factor. It still would have been nice to see somebody else get an interception. But still, hey, welcome to the Panthers. Deion Jones, the interception. Our own version of primetime, I guess, for now. Even though he's not a quarterback, but getting an interception, close enough. And let's see, how about Thursday? Now we're going to talk about 49ers and the Giants. I, myself, at this point, rooting for a 49ers-Dolphins Super Bowl. The Dolphins scoring more points in a game than anyone in the NFL has done since 1966. 70-20. Like, I knew they were going to win that game. Like, there wasn't really any doubt. The way the Broncos have looked the first 2 weeks, the fact this game is in Miami, the fact the Dolphins are just, just ridiculously fast. It's like everybody on their team is, the fastest guy at their position in the league. In the league. Not officially, but it's pretty close. And you got to give credit, not just to Mike McDaniels, who is awesome and, fun to watch, exciting guy. Give credit to the, whoever, the GM and whoever's putting this team to the scouting department, because it seems like they are seeking out guys with speed. And that, that's the most important part of the foot in football. It's how fast you can run. You got some dudes that can outrun people. There's a long way. And when those guys can also catch and do some other shit, you're cooking with grease, as they say. Be a 70-20, 50 points. And they still have Russell Wilson out there. It's like, dude, I don't think y'all are coming back. He's like, maybe he'll get hurt. But yeah, Tyreek Hill scored really, 54-yard pass from Tua. Great game from Tua. But the big story in this game is Tyreek Hill had a pretty good game. 9 receptions for 157 yards and a touchdown. But how about this kid I had never heard of? Most people hadn't. Devon Achane. Coming out of Texas A&M. I'm trying to see what his career is. Hasn't really, it's his whole career. He's a rookie. 208 yards. Come on. ESPN doing that. Or 203. He had 5 yards week 1. But it's his first time really playing much. 203 yards on 18 carries for 2 touchdowns. This team, they averaged 10 yards at offensive play. They were just killing him. 2 at 23 at 26. 309 yards and 4 touchdowns. Tua Tagovailoa had more touchdowns than incompletions. And he had a running back go for 200 yards. It's insane. Not only did they score 70 points, they had 700 yards. Over 700 yards. 350 on the ground. You had a 203-yard rusher. And Raheem Mostert ran for 82. Shit! I ran for 66 yards. Chris Brooks, whoever that is, had 9 carries for 66 yards. I averaged 7.3 yards per carry. I didn't even know there was a Chris Brooks in the league. I'm excited. I literally just found this out. Apparently, I'm a rookie. No, this kid was born. This Chris Brooks was born when I was 16 years old, or when I was 15 years old. I was about to turn 16. Born early 2000. So man, I got somebody else I got to keep an eye on. I'm assuming he's in there for garbage time. But yeah, the thing is, the Dolphins could have set a record, got 73, but they didn't kick a field goal because they didn't want to embarrass them anymore. But they were trying. It felt like they were at a certain point to ease up, but then nobody was tackling. So it was like, what are they supposed to do? Just sit down? So when Achane ended up with the last touchdown with 8 minutes left was a 67-yard run. So pretty embarrassing for the Broncos. Fire Sean Payton, I guess, right? And of course, the Steelers beating the Raiders, not a big surprise. Their offense kind of clicking, actually. So maybe the blame Canada will end. And I may have been wrong about the Panthers, but at least I was right about the Lions. Them cats weren't going to lose back-to-back games at all. 20-6 over the Falcons. Falcons offense disappearing on the road. And that Lions defense ain't no joke. And Goff ain't here to goof. One of the big surprises to me was the Ravens losing at home to the Colts. I guess somebody forgot to tell the Colts they don't play in Baltimore anymore. They used to. They left in the middle of the night. People hated him for years. And then the Browns went to Baltimore. See, sometimes I forget that. Sort of how a lot of people times you'll forget the Nationals were the Expos. But yeah, the Ravens, that's what the Browns. Crazy shit. But yeah, they were missing Anthony Richardson out with a concussion. But Matt Gay, 4 field goals over 50 yards, including the overtime winner. You know, Lamar Jackson, the offense not quite clicking. He threw for 202 yards, ran for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns, but Gardner Minshew has 25 more yards in this game in the air. Zach Moss ran for 122 yards. You know, Lamar is going to need some help. A lot of injuries, man. OBJ out, a lot of people out, but definitely, you know, if you're the Ravens losing at home like that, not expected. Especially with the backup out there. But Minshew, you know, he's not your typical backup dude, can also ball. The Browns shutting down the Titans, man. That defense stepping up. They know the running game ain't going to be the same without Nick Chubb out for the season. But Myles Garrett means business. Deshaun Watson looked better. He had a couple touchdowns in this one. And they held the Titans to only 3 points. So their offense disappeared. Even Derrick Henry. Sorry, think about the Panthers. Derrick Henry had 11 carries for 20 yards. They held DeAndre Hopkins to 3 receptions for 48 yards. Tannehill had almost, you know, pretty much barely above 50% completion, 13 of 25 for 104 yards. Getting doubled up and then some by Deshaun Watson. The issue, though, with the Browns is going to be, can they run the ball without Nick Chubb? Because it's one thing against this Titans team that ain't got no offense, apparently. Ryan Tannehill over the Tannehill. But, you know, they're going to, you know, need more. Maybe Deshaun Watson can keep playing like this and they won't regret giving him so much damn money. But their leading rusher only had 27 yards in this one. So more than the Titans, but only by a few yards and not much. But they do have Kareem Hunt, who had just rejoined the team. So he probably, I would think, going forward, would have a bigger role in the offense as he gets worked back in. Some other results from the weekend. Patriots, I told y'all they were going to beat the Jets. I want to know why Cam Newton didn't being mentioned as the Jets quarterback. Like, if you're the Jets, why the hell not give Cam a tryout? I mean, I already know that they turned down Colin Kaepernick. Apparently he reached out, but that's not surprising. The Jets owner, y'all remember, is a big Trump dude, was appointed like an ambassador by Trump. Do you think he's definitely not going to be the one that gives Colin Kaepernick a chance? Cam Newton, there's nothing political about that, though. Like, I'm surprised Cam hadn't gotten another shot. I mean, as far as I know, there's nothing political about it. But, you know, this Jets team is going to be terrible. And it's a game where you feel like you should win. The other team, you know, only scored 15 points. Only 1 touchdown for the Patriots in this one. But Zach Wilson scored 2 points he couldn't get a touchdown. Or he handed off Nick Baldwin, had the only touchdown in the game. But Zach Wilson did end up in the end zone. But it was the wrong end zone. It was a safety. And that turned it from a 3-point game to a 5-point game with 2 minutes left. So not a big surprise, but you got to be disappointed as a Jets fan. And it's like the Patriots scoring per quarter was 3, 7, 3, and 2. So they outscored the Patriots 7-5 in the second half, but still lost. So just pretty bad. And the Commanders looked bad at home. This was the Bills still getting revenge for the Super Bowls they lost. And you know, this Bills defense ain't no joke. Sam Howell's looked good so far. Washington came in undefeated. I mean, the whole NFC, 3 teams in the NFC East came in undefeated this week. And the Eagles are the only ones still undefeated because they're playing right now. But Washington, man, was Josh Allen still, coming, feel like you need a little extra in the red zone. 3 of their 4 scores in the first half were field goals. Feel like he left the game with like 8 minutes left. They put in Kyle Allen, who I'm sure Ron Rivera recognized from his time in Carolina. I think it's one of those Allens. There's so many different Allens. But They could have put it away sooner. I mean, they could have had this really out of the way at halftime, because you feel like they probably could have at least 2 of those field goals been touchdowns and at 8, 24 nothing, and maybe gone up even quicker. But 2 touchdowns on offense, and then of course AJ Espinosa 32-yard interception return for a touchdown. We'll see. Sam Howell, he's looking good the first 2 weeks. This Bills defense, it's not like they're bad. They're very, very good. Very, very good defense. One of the best in the league, probably, when they play what they're capable of. But if you like Josh Allen, man, it's just gotta tighten up a little bit. Get a little better in the red zone. Some more touchdowns. Get that Diggs connection cooking. Diggs did have 8 catches for 111. That was more than half of Josh Allen's 218 yards. 1 TD, 1 interception. At least, Jared Cook stepping up 98 yards. That's encouraging. But, hey, Washington, still early. Still 2-1, man. That's better than a lot of people thought the Washington Commanders would be. So, take some solace in that, Dylan. Saints going down to the Packers. Told y'all Jordan Love was going to win his first home start this year there at Lambeau Field. They weren't going to let him rally them from behind. They were down 17-0 at halftime. Thanks to a Jimmy Graham touchdown catch. Rashid Shaheed had a 76-yard punt return for a touchdown. And they wrap it up with a field goal right at the end of the half. But it was tale of 2 halves. The Saints scored 17 in the first half. 17-zip first half for them. And then the Packers won the second half 18-0. Getting the winning touchdown, Romeo Doubs, 8-yard pass catch. And that was the difference. 2:56 left in the game. Following Jordan Love running for a touchdown. And then a field goal to open up the fourth quarter. So nobody scored in the third quarter. But good job, Jordan Love, man. And he was the leading rusher for the Packers in this one. They were missing Aaron Jones. So big win for Jordan Love. Everybody's going to be talking about Aaron Rodgers this season. Now Aaron Rodgers is out. And Jordan Love is winning games. Talk about winning games. How about the Texans going down to Jacksonville and putting it to them? 37-17. Getting their first win of the year. Congratulations, CJ Stroud. Maybe one of his performances, he's doing stuff nobody really does. First 3 games, he's been good. So maybe my first instinct was right. That was who. I'm not giving up on Bryce Young yet, but you can't help but look at the way the season has started and be like, shit, maybe we should have drafted CJ Stroud. Easy to say now, but that's who I originally thought was the best pick at number 1. Once I realized it was obvious the Panthers were going to go with him, I got on board. And I still believe in that Bryce Young could be a special player. But just first 3 games, and obviously when you look at a quarterback years down the road, the first 3 games might not mean shit. But so far, CJ Stroud looking good. Well, it would have been a mistake to take him. I'm not saying it was a mistake, but I felt like at the time, either one of them would be good. And I still feel that way. Bryce Young really needs a healthy offensive line. And better play calling. Maybe, I don't know, Frank Reich needs to let Thomas Brown do more or what. Or just, I don't know. Because you need to build up, Bryce Young's got to be able to throw the ball down the field. Got to be able to give him time to do that. But, hey, great start for them. And the Jacksonville defense just going dead. Offense going dead in this one, especially at home. And the Chargers beating the Vikings in a close one, 28-24. As the Vikings means they'll be welcoming the Panthers as a winless team, just like us. And the Chargers finding a way to win despite only getting 12 rushing yards from Josh Kelly with Austin Eckler out. That was their leading rusher, too. Nobody over 100 yards in this one. Mattinson did bounce back. He had a fumble, but he also had 93 yards total, so at least he looked a little better. Cousins threw for 367 yards, 3 touchdowns. Both quarterbacks, 3 touchdowns. Herbert threw for 400. Who 215 yards to Keenan Allen, while Justin Jefferson had 7 catches with 149 yards and a touchdown to lead the Vikings. So, going to be a tough matchup. The Vikings at home, not trying to go down 0-4 at home. You really ain't. Especially considering that they've had 2 of these games they've lost were at home, I believe, yeah. Yeah, week 1, the Buccaneers beat them by 3 at home, and then they went and lost by 6 to the Eagles week 2. And then week 3, barely losing. So losing close games. They were winning a lot of close games last year, so that switched up. But to me, the biggest surprise this week, because it was surprising that the Texans did that to the Jaguars, but the Texans have had some success against the Jaguars in recent years, like in Trevor Lawrence's career. But how about the Cardinals? Despite being a home team, nobody. I didn't think there was much of a chance. I did sort of swing that I wanted them to win. I was like, maybe Josh Dobbs, because I just seen the thing about alopecia awareness. I was like, maybe Josh Dobbs will do something special for that. But honestly, I didn't think they had a chance. The way the Cowboys had dominated against the Jersey teams, maybe the Jersey teams just suck. But the Cardinals winning this one 28-16. I mean, maybe it's maybe a reaction to losing one of their best players on defense and Travion Diggs out for the season. But you wouldn't think it'd result in this. But hey, man, Josh Dobbs breathing some life into that Cardinals franchise. And a team that's not showing life. Justin Fields and the Bears, man. I really thought Justin Fields was gonna build on the success he had last season at the end. It's not happening. I thought DJ Moore would work out well for him. But they've lost again. They're 0-3, and they were down 30. They were down 41-0 in this game before. And once everybody's out of the game in the fourth quarter, they get a touchdown from DJ Moore and a field goal. So it makes it almost respectable, but still, it's one of those weeks where damn, I bet they were really glad the Dolphins won by 50. Because otherwise, this would be the worst game. But it was just a bad week. There was some drama with the coach. Alleging there was some sort of raid or some shit, but it just seemed like mostly rumors. There was some equipment stolen. Just not a well-run team right now. And the Bears, and nobody would have expected them to win in Kansas City. Travis Kelce brought Taylor Swift to the game. She's sitting with his mama. So, hey, man, I guess no bad blood there. Give her a blank space. He wrote his name on that friendship bracelet, or his number, and maybe it worked eventually. So, yeah, what a week in the NFL. The Eagles are up 10-3 on the Buccaneers, and the Rams and the Bengals are still tied at zip. I'm not watching a little of that before I go to bed. I really wanted to go to the Conway the Machine show, like I said, but I was tired. I know it'd be one of those shows where I'd be standing up on my feet till midnight. I was like, I am not feeling that. And didn't have any clean shit to wear for work tomorrow, so there's that. Hey, man, hope you all have a good day. Hopefully the Panthers can have a good week of practice. Get shit back going next week. I'm not going to be able to watch that game. It's at 1. It might actually be on TV, too. Because the Falcons are playing the Jaguars in, I guess, in England. Somewhere overseas. Can't remember if all the games are in England this year. But either way, check back. We'll talk more about it. We'll talk about tonight's games at some point. I'll briefly go over those. But the main thing is, Panthers, another game is really all 3 of these games have been winnable. Especially the last 2. I mean, this one got a little out of hand at the end with them score, but, why is it so buried? Yeah, we lost, only lost by 3 to the Saints. Falcons, that one, got out of hand. Beat us by 14, but you still got to feel like it was in the second half. We let it get out of hand. And we'll see what happens. I think Andy Dalton will start this week in Minnesota. Could be wrong. I'm not saying he's taking his place. I'm just saying I think you might as well be a little extra careful. But it's also possible Bryce Young, took the opportunity. I saw him, on the sideline there. Maybe he could, learn some shit. He's still young. He's got a lot of growing. There's going to be some growing pains in more ways than one. But one thing for damn sure, you got to get him better play calling. And the offensive line is number one. Got to do some blocking. Got to do a better blocking job. Give the dude more time. He's fighting for his life and quite a stress back there. And stop giving the other team yards. And a lot of that is, it was in Seattle. Seattle there's going to be more false starts there than anywhere else. The fans are loud as fuck. 12th man, they're calling that for a reason because they part of the game. And it really feels like in that game, the 12th man was the MVP for the Seahawks. But the Panthers showed some fight. So hopefully we keep pounding. And, we'll live to see another week. Because it's a long, not as long as baseball. It's still a long season. Got a few months left. Got some time, We can still, course correct a little bit. But I believe if you go to 0-4, it's over. Like your season's done. And then that's the thing, with Brian Burns not under contract for, that didn't ink that extension. Like, I really start to worry about Brian Burns getting traded. As much as they turned down for him before, and I feel like you could end up getting less for him now. And I really hope I'm wrong. I really, 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 really hope I'm wrong. Because I think Brian Burns should be the focal point of this defense. And you just see, and he wouldn't say like, it just seemed, I didn't necessarily I feel like he was kind of dismissive. He's kind of frustrated with losing, obviously. And that's what worries me. You can't blame him. He should be frustrated with losing. I worry that if this team, gets, 1-5, 1-6, that, we end up losing one of our best players. Probably for not enough. Because not just the money situation. That can be worked out, I believe. But if this team keeps losing, especially the way they're losing, like games that we should be able to win, very well, this team could be 3-0. We're not that far off despite the scores in these games. We should have at least 1 or 2 wins. Like this team should be 2-1. These last 2 games, the Falcons game, whatever, on the road, but the home game against the Saints and this game. But so they just got to do better. Keep pounding, baby. Keep pounding. Hope y'all have a great day. Check in tomorrow. I will do an episode about the Braves. I'll wrap up the Braves' recent series up there in Washington against them Expos. And they're finishing up the season at home. Maybe I'll go. I haven't been to a game yet this year, but I really want to. Maybe since I didn't go to the concert, I can do that. Because apparently they already sold out the NLCS and the NLDS. But hey, man, like I said, hope you all have a good day. Subscribe on Spotify to Babbling Brooks so you don't miss a babble. And have a great day. Tune in tomorrow for more of your new favorite podcast. Peace out.